Hello and welcome to The Voluntarist. An ongoing debate within the libertarian community is immigration. There's the camp that wants to restrict immigration for various reasons, and then there's the camp that wants to open borders. Only one of these positions is compatible with the tenets of libertarianism, namely freedom of movement. As someone once said, in a free society, immigration is simply called moving. So open borders is the only position on immigration that you can have as a legitimate libertarian, right? Well, not really. It's a little bit more complicated than that for two main reasons that I can think of at least. These things are the state, which stops at nothing to make everything as complicated as possible, and private property in the absence of the state. First, the state has implemented a welfare system. This means that if a nation had open borders, anyone anywhere in the world could come and live off of tax money indefinitely. This is the great financial hazard of opening the border while a welfare state is active, not to mention that the welfare state tends to disincentivize upward economic mobility, thus incentivizing the poor to remain poor. Second, if there were no state and private property was a societal norm, would we expect property owners to just let anyone onto their property? Is a property owner denying passage through his or her land a denial of someone's freedom of movement? So you can see why this is such a complicated, touchy subject for libertarians and people who think they're libertarians just because they don't like Republicans and Democrats. Jokes. Let me offer my opinion. Libertarians agree universally to end the welfare state. Some people view it as a mandatory prerequisite to opening the border, and I would have to agree to the extent that I think it would be much safer to do things in that order. You'll still have to deal with the state afterwards, but at least everyone's freedom will have increased by some amount. Now on to private property immigration. It is an obstruction of someone's freedom of movement to tell them they cannot walk across your land. But the catch is that you own the land, and as such, they have no right to use it. Libertarianism derives rights from the principle of self-ownership or self-sovereignty. They're different things, but they essentially have the same effect in practice, so do with that information what you will. If a person is sovereign, that means that they alone may control their actions, and because they are in control of their actions, they own the effects of their actions. If you push someone down the stairs, they break their arm, that's your fault, and you really shouldn't be surprised when you get sued. If you work for someone in exchange for money, you own that money. And if you exchange that money in a voluntary trade for a house and some land, then you own that house and that land. And essentially, what you have to ask yourself is, what makes more sense in this situation? Should the property owner have to surrender his property rights to allow anyone who wants to cross his property to do so? Or should the people who want to cross without the owner's permission simply go around, or work out some kind of mutually beneficial deal with the owner? Obviously, the implications of saying the owner must forfeit the right to control who may come onto his property is a much greater obstruction of freedom than telling would-be trespassers to just go around. Freedom of movement doesn't give you the right to go walk through someone's yard without their permission, any more than it gives you the right to go stand in their bedroom without their permission. So in a free society, there would be no border control other than that which would be imposed by private landowners determining who is or is not allowed on their land, as is their right by virtue of self-sovereignty. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.